Howdy, thanks for joining today. So in much of the Northern Hemisphere, it's extremely hot right now. It's the middle of summer, so Pitta season. And those of us that have any Pitta dosha, which is all of us have some to a certain degree, have been trying to figure out ways to beat the heat. So I wanted to provide a couple quick and easy tips, 5 actually, that are super helpful when you ever feel overheated or really hot. I will put certain descriptions on the practices in the description box and also contradictions or contraindications, okay? So the first one, of course, is one we know everything about, but I just want to remind you, water. So water is extremely nourishing to the body, but there's a few caveats. For one, you want to make sure the water is room temperature. Our bodies can assimilate water at a much higher rate when the water is not ice cold. Ice cold water actually constricts everything in the body, and it actually makes it harder to absorb water properly. So in order to increase the electrolyte levels in your body and that water balance, you're going to want to have room temperature water. Another really quick and easy way to cool your body down is adding lime. So just a simple squeeze of fresh lime into your water is going to help to pacify your Pitta dosha. So again, if you have any sort of Pitta in your body and you feel really hot and kind of maybe even angry, frustrated, maybe you're kind of feeling hyperacidity or anything of those are all indicators that you are very much a Pitta dosha. And in order to balance it, you want to follow some of these techniques that I'm talking about. When you're drinking water, you're going to do this. Rolling the water around in your mouth first before swallowing. Really important because you're kind of mobilizing the water, you're rinsing the water around your whole mouth. So you're gonna increase more saliva in your mouth, which is actually really good to lubricate your entire system. So instead of guzzling water and shooting it back, which shoots straight down your throat and down to your stomach, by rolling it around, you're actually stimulating a little bit of saliva. So it's going to be refreshing to the mouth. It washes away any bacteria, but then it also promotes just that fluidity of the saliva, and it's going to lubricate your entire digestive tract all the way from the front to the bottom. So thinking about that. The other thing that's really important is that when you are drinking water, to seat yourself when you're drinking, instead of drinking it standing up. Same reason, you're guzzling water, it's shooting straight down and it actually bypasses any of the benefits. It's going to hit your stomach like a rock and then flush through your intestines. And yogis say that you have knee problems when you also are standing and drinking water. So it's really important to be seated and do that rolling of the water and then swallow it in order to get the maximum benefit. A few other points about water. So whatever your weight is, divide that number in half, and that's how many ounces you should have every day of water, pure water. It doesn't count milk or juice or energy drinks or coffee or tea. It is purely water. That is the amount of water you need for your day. So for example, an 140-pound person needs 70 ounces of water. That is going to be the equivalent of at least 6 of these like pint-sized glasses of water. Okay, so just remembering that. Moving on. So now a few pranayama practices. So these are all super effective in cooling the Pitta dosha. So the first one is called Chandra Bhedana. So it's the moon side of breathing. So we're going to really activate the left side nostril, and that's going to move us towards this rest and digest practice. It's going to calm our nervous system. It's going to increase the cooling sensation across our body. It's going to help to cool us down mentally and physically, as are the rest of the practice I'm going to be talking about. So simply for this one, all you have to do is block your right nostril and inhale left. Block left, exhale right. Go back, inhale left. Block left, exhale right. Inhale left. Block left, exhale right. Inhale left. Block left, exhale right. Inhale right or left. block left, exhale right. And then you take a break. You can just sit and kind of let this kind of wash over you. And just watching your breathing pattern is going to change as well a little bit. And you might find yourself getting more introverted, quieter, calmer, because we are stimulating that parasympathetic side of the brain and the body, which is the left side. So by pulling in the oxygen and the air on the left side, blocking and then exhaling right, it's going to help to stimulate that left side and cool us down. When doing this practice, you can also activate the Varuna mudra. So that's going to be when you very gently touch your pinky to your thumb. So our pinky finger is the water element and the thumb is the fire element. And by just barely touching these 2 points and just setting your hand on your knee while you're doing the Chandra Bhedana, it's going to help to really cool everything down. The beautiful thing about a mudra, which is the hand gesture, is that it helps to balance the water and electrolytes in the body again. So remembering we talked about water. So when you're sitting and doing a breathing practice, it's going to be really helpful to activate a mudra in order to really get all the benefits from that practice. Okay, you could do it with either hand. So whichever hand you see fit. When you're doing a mudra though, you want to make sure that you're really sitting and you're just focusing on that for a moment. So like I said, you could have your hand in a mudra while you do the Chandra Bhedana. Okay, so we're going to do another cycle of it of 5 rounds. Inhale, left. Exhale, right. Block right, inhale left. Block left, exhale right. 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 Take your hand away, placing both hands in Varuna mudra. Just pause for a few moments. Just already observing your body and your breath. Maybe you're feeling a little bit calmer already, a little bit cooler already. And you can do a few rounds of this anytime you need. Okay. So the last one we're going to do is going to be called Sheetkari, Shetkri. Sheetkari is also known as hissing breath. There's another version called Sheetali that we won't do today because most people can't curl their tongues. We'll just go with the basic. So Sheetkari is when you breathe through the teeth. So you're going to go inhale through the teeth, exhale through the nose. Continue. And you're going to do one more. And just slowly calming down, closing the mouth, closing the eyes, and just feeling that cooling sensation in your mouth, your teeth, the roof of your mouth, your tongue, and just feeling it creeping back towards the throat. This practice is extremely calming for the nervous system again. But there are also a lot of neuroreceptors in our mouth, in our sinus cavity. And by cooling this area down, it greatly cools the brain down and the internal organs. So there's visceral organs attached to the receptors in our mouth and our nose. So by utilizing these breathing practices, we're stimulating these neuroreceptors and they are all over our body, but specifically activating our brain, so literally cooling the brain down, and then cooling our visceral and our alimentary tract. So cooling the respiratory tract, cooling the digestive system, and tying all the way down into our lower gastrointestinal system. So it's going to help to really calm us down, calms the Pitta, the fire down. And it also provides clarity and coolness in our mind and our thoughts. And remembering that the body, if we manipulate the body, the mind follows it. So when we're doing these practices, we're adding these cooling practices, these calming practices. By doing a few rounds of them very gently and very patiently, the mind will follow the body and it will mimic the same behaviors. It just takes time and practice. And doing it in an environment that's not stimulating, that's not overwhelming, so that you can get your practices down and then you can lean on them as coping skills when you need them. So we're going to do another round. So closing your eyes, we're going to do a round of 10 this time. If it becomes too much for you, just pause, just chill and wait. Just only going as far as you feel comfortable. If you ever feel like any sort of panic or anxiety, that's a point where you need to stop and just pause for a moment and reflect on that, and then add a little bit more later on once you become more accustomed to it. We're going to do 10 though. So when you're ready, and then closing the mouth, closing the eyes, and just feeling that coolness on the teeth, on the tongue, in the mouth, in the throat. And just imagine this cooling flow coming over you and just calming and cooling your entire being. And you can physically feel this cooling happening as well. And again, you can activate that Varuna mudra if you'd like, which is that pinky just gently touching your thumb, hands rotated up. If it's too hard to do that mudra, you can just open your palms. So the backs of your hands are sitting on your lap, you're sitting evenly across your body. Legs are not crossed. Even across the seat bones, palms facing up towards the sky, allowing you to dissipate a little bit more of that heat. And lastly, we're going to do Brahmari breath. So another standalone. All of these can be standalone, but you're welcome to follow this little flow today and kind of observe how you feel after each little mini practice. Brahmari is one of my favorite pranayama. It's a beautiful pranayama. They're actually simulating the sound of a humming bee. So Brahmari means humming bee in Sanskrit. And thinking about a bee and the vibrations a bee makes with its wings, they vibrate about 250 to 300 wing beats per second. It's incredible. So there's this hypersonic state of excitement that's happening when a bee is flapping its wings. And it works on our body in a very similar way. So when we are doing Brahmari breath, there's a hypersonic cleansing that's actually happening to the nasal passages, to the sinus cavities, so breaking up any sort of mucus and phlegm and congestion that's existing. But again, remembering we have all those neuroreceptors throughout our sinus and our mouth. So it's doing a lot of really amazing work on our nervous system again, and then our visceral organs. There's also quite a bit of research that shows that it simulates the nitrous oxide levels in our body, which help with immunity, like general immunity, boosts the immune system. Those research studies were done during the pandemic. It also helps to just relieve the body of impurities. And it's going to bring your body back down to that baseline, a really calm rest and digest practice. You can do Brahmari anywhere. You can do it seated. You can do it laying down. You can do it anywhere you want. The most important part is to just make sure that, again, when you're practicing these pranayama, you're doing it in a really safe, private environment, so you can start really working on the techniques. And then when you need them, you can access them without any problem. They're very simple for you because you've done them before. For humming bee, you don't want to clench your jaw. So the humming comes off of the teeth and the soft palate. So you're like bringing your teeth together and you're humming through them, and then you're allowing your lips to touch too. So there's going to be a lot of vibration at the front of your mouth, and that's totally normal. That's what we want. So on a sound therapy level as well, we're vibrating the entire cranial region, and we're vibrating the entire being from the head down as well. So again, kind of thinking about on these multiple layers. So the nervous system is stimulated. It removes mucus and phlegm. So it breaks up that. It's going to help to increase your immune system generally. And then it helps to just vibrate our entire being. So it really calms the entire body down and kind of activates that rest and digest part of our being in a really, really beautiful way. And again, just increasing that nitric oxide levels in the body, which helps to improve circulation and, again, boosting that immunity. So we're going to do 5. So you just breathe normal and then you exhale and hum. Super simple. So inhaling. Round 2. Round 3. Round 4. And last one. And then you're just going to close your eyes if you haven't already done so. And just observing that humming that's happening inside your head and your body. It feels very peaceful. It's very calm. It's very soothing. You can also block your ears when you're doing this practice for a completely different experience. So you could even, just pressing your targus into your ear and then hum. And just staying there. Doing that, you could do that for the same amount of rounds. And just noticing your internal sounds. It's very comforting. It's like kind of going back into the womb, if you will. And you'll hear like your blood flow, you'll hear your breathing, you'll hear other sounds, and just like honing in on that. There is a practice of Brahmari where you do the Shanmukti mudra, which is like a hand positioning where you put your thumbs in, you cover your eyes, you put these fingers down, and then you block everything. We won't do that in this video, but you can certainly find those online. But again, just the simplest practice is just the humming, just inhale normal and then exhale and hum. So to recap, we did water, so just drinking water, room temperature, swirling it around the mouth to stimulate saliva and really get the most bang for your buck out of that water. Adding a little lime to it is going to help to pacify the heat and the Pitta dosha, which is one of the elemental constitutions that it's one of 3 that all of us have aspects of. And then the next thing is going to be Chandra Bhedana, which is going to be the moon breath. So you inhale left, block, exhale right. Inhale left, block, exhale right. And you can do a few rounds of this, and that's going to help to shift your breathing over to the left side, which is more calming and soothing, that rest or digest, that parasympathetic side of our nervous system. And then the next one we did was Sheet Kari. And Sheet Kari is the hissing breath. So quite literally inhaling through the teeth, exhaling through the nose. And you just do a few rounds of that, and you're going to feel cold. It's going to feel cool on the teeth, cool on the mouth. Again, it's all of those receptors in the mouth that are also located in the nasal passages are going to get cooler, and they're going to start to cool the entire body down. So remembering that the body is cool, the mind is cool. And then the last one we did was kind of a bonus one, Brahmari breath, which is a really beautiful soothing practice just generally, where you're humming. You inhale normal and then hum as you exhale, and you can do multiple rounds of this. Maybe starting with 5 of these practices, 5 repetitions, pausing, taking a look at how you feel, how your mind is, how your body feels, and then moving forward as you see fit. And you can just pepper these in through your day. Whenever you see a place where you like, oh, I could probably use that practice here, that's when these are really helpful. So yoga is not like just doing a sauna class for an hour once a day and that's it. Yoga is like a lifestyle. So you put them in, you sprinkle in pieces here and there to support your entire well-being throughout the day, throughout the year. And it just makes your life a little bit easier. And knowing these techniques, you can counter imbalances when you face them. And then the last thing we did was Varuna Mudra. So that little tiny mudra where we're touching our pinky to our thumb. So the fire element with the water element, and Varuna is going to help us balance that water and the electrolytes in our bodies. So that entire kind of mix of the pH and the salt levels of our body. So it's going to be really helpful. And you can just put your hand in this mudra anytime you're doing pranayama or just as a standalone as well. So I hope this was really helpful, and I wish you all the best. Stay calm, stay cool, and we'll be in touch.